Listen, the same questions that are asked on that writ of discovery and disclosure for mortgages, loans, credit cards, whatever, had to by law be introduced to the court and examined, meaning they had to examine it, you understand, and verify it before they issued a writ of execution for foreclosure.
Okay.
So when you send them writs and they don't answer, they're already in default. Not only are they in default, you can start tracing down what court they went to and start suing them too. This is why they close those courts down relative to foreclosure. Because a lot of these judges and townships are not going to take the hit for these bankers. See, they don't want you to know that, but they become suable too. Because now the fraud, it unravels the fraud. Because they're rubber stamping foreclosures. See, because know it's like this. If I'm coming to Grand Sheik, right? So Grand Sheik's a judge. You see his brother here? You know what he did. I sold him some sneaks. He didn't pay me, right? Right, so you started an action against him, right? And I didn't introduce the evidence of the sale, proof, etc. Because you must examine that before you even put out any warrants. And then if you put out a warrant, you understand, it has to be signed by a judicial officer. It can't be signed by an administrative judge or a clerk, which they've been doing. You understand? This is what they've been getting away with. This is what that writ spoils, because it asks the right questions. And remember, whenever there's an accusation of any type, due process requires discovery in order for you to prepare a defense. So discovery is everything that moved the court you're supposed to have it to, so you can prepare your defense. This is what we talk about in 4 and 3 here. So if you know these rules, you already know if you waive these, you're waiving your rights. And they know most people don't know this, and that's why they be rolling these people who run these small townships on people. Because they don't invoke the law. They keep thinking these people, because they walk around with robes on and stuff, that they the law, because they got these robes on. They're administrators. They don't even have judicial power. Period. You understand what I'm saying? They're not only violating you, they're violating the law. Matter of fact, the sheriff is supposed to come arrest them when they do that. It's just that they got this racketeering going on, and that's why you don't see it taking place. This is why one of the protocols, you notify the sheriff anyway, even though you know he ain't gonna do nothing. So he's on the record. We're gonna get him later too. You understand? This is why the feds came in and shut down. That's why Green retired early. Anyway, number 7, the court must be one of competent jurisdiction, having actual judicial authority and authorization and delegation of authority order to have valid process. The tribunal court must be a creature of its constitution and be in accord with the law of its creation, i.e. Article 3 judge. Get that? All right, that's why you asked for it. So therefore, challenging the jurisdiction is asking that question, number 7. You see? Now remember, in law, when jurisdiction is challenged, the court stops. If they don't produce certification on the spot, not, oh, let me tell my court, tell Fred, they stop you on the street under color, right? Good answer. License administration. Well, you know, Sue. You know, it's like Sue, my cousin. Sue. You know where Fred is, right? On 56th and Mass, right? You know, right now, Johnny's store. They ain't hearing it, is they? Well, guess what? You ain't hearing it either. You understand?
That's right.
You DOL and introduce it into record. I got jurisdiction. I asked you what your opinion was. Because that's their license. And without it, they're going to the court, they're violating law and are suable. And anything they say or do is reversible anyway, but we'd rather not go for the crap. You understand? But always put them on the record, because you're going to get them later. And this is why, and then they're going to keep on, call the sheriff. Call 911. Then, and anybody comes in there, they don't start arresting them, they're on the spot too. Of course, they want to try to come back to you, you can't be doing that, I just did it. And they're all liable. Everybody in the court's liable. You understand? And the township's liable for sicking on you. It's no different than somebody who's down on the court and raping you. And they've been doing it. But you know that they're the U.S. democracy. They're not the republic. They're not law. Do you understand?
Well, when you say the U.S. democracy, that was over June 21st, 2001, during the Pluto crisis.
Yeah, but I'm just saying to you, well, the U.S. democracy, when I make reference to that, the U.S. democracy is really all the knights, templars, and the Shriners, and the Columbus deputies for the popes of Rome. They're operative whether they're holding office or not. And they're holders, that includes the industrials. All of them is holding your estate. You know what I mean? So they're all operating for Rome or resisting. But this is why, like Drali said, all of those who love a free national government help me in my mission to enforce the Constitution, our Constitution of the United States of America. It's a contract. You understand? This is why they always say democracy, because they already know the contract enforces the republic. But their job is to overthrow the republic. This is why when CMA registered the Adam Chamber information in the Library of Congress, in the Zodiac Constitution, which is Moorish law, he says when you hire a lawyer, you give up your birthright. You understand? Because they're what? Members of the what? Barristers Association of England, working for the popes of Rome under Pope Innocent III, under what? Torquemada, Inquisition, what? General. Inquisitor General. And they have an office in the Treasury. That's why the Inquisitors have an office or desk in the Treasury Department. That's why the Treasury is defunct. You understand what I'm saying? But now that the people are starting to nationalize, all the nations of the earth are starting to cash in all of their bonds. Now, whereas the people can't redeem the Federal Reserve notes, nations can.
Will that break the Federal Reserve?
Will it break it?
Yeah. I'm just,
all right, the Federal Reserve is the largest holder of the debt.
You're right.
Then China and Japan.
Okay.
See, but the Federal Reserve is the Jesuits.
Right.
That's why they set up the Internal Revenue Service, the Inquisition Revenue Service, when Milk Drali set up the old Canaanite Temple. So they had to counter it. So the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, or the old Canaanite Temple, established 1913. So the Romans set up the IRS 1913. Then the Federal Reserve 1916 with the Moorish Divine National. You understand? This is why when 1933, when Skull and Bones Roosevelt did the bank holiday, what was March and April. So March they did the bank holiday, they did the bank holiday, and then April Congress issued the right to the Moors to their name, Elam Bay, etc. Resolution 75. That's why it's 2 months apart. If you understand, but then the so-called leader guys are supposed to be teaching the people, and they didn't teach the people. That's what the great sellout is. And that's why you see 1933, 1934, all these other movements came out of the Moorish movement. Then you had the Temple of Islam, Daddy Grace, Father Divine, all of them. Everybody got paid off, and they started trying to put these people back in blackness again. You know, and this is why you see a lot of people who work. You see a lot of Grand Sheiks in the temple who try to preserve Drali's teaching, will teach people all of the history. And those who work for Hoover will block information. As a matter of fact, they get angry at anybody that teaches information. Really angry. Because once you start researching, it will expose them. and a lot of them are breathing right now. You understand? Got paid off. You know. So that's why. So this is why you challenge jurisdiction. Or you understand? Now territorial jurisdiction. Let me read territorial jurisdiction. Then I'll go on. But keep that in mind. Territorial jurisdiction. Territorial jurisdiction involves the very power, the control, and the authority itself. Are we clear? All right. To render a judgment or decision. This involves matters of what is termed proof of jurisdiction. All right? And of course, remember the inherent right of the nationals or citizens to challenge the jurisdiction of the courts at any juncture or of any proceeding. An averment of jurisdiction is the writ and argument that would be placed into evidence or firmly asserted in such an instance. Are we clear? All right. The supreme standard for establishing jurisdictional powers and the guideline for their binding limitations would be and is the Constitution for the United States Republic, North America. That's why I know you probably say divine warning for the nations to help me in my mission, to bring my people back into the constitutional world of government, but enforcing our free national Constitution of the United States of America. That's a contract. Do you understand? All right. Now, the lawful standard for all the delegated judicial authority is specified, stated, and prescribed by constitutional law as per the United States Republic Constitution, Article 3. So I'm going to read Article 3, then we're going on the subject matter. Article 3 of the Constitution, the United States Republic, North America, Article 3, Section 1, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time establish as your DOAO. They must have certification for that. It must be posted. Do you understand? All right. The judges of both the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices doing good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Now, Section 2, this is diversity. And this is where we deal with the issue of consular court, or where the judicial powers come in concerning Moorish Americans, etc. All right? Section 2, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States and treaties made, or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers. This is the role where Grand Chief's minister and the minister of paper comes in. It's not only just dealing with religion, it's dealing with the acts of state. You understand? And consuls. Consul is commissioner that deals with nations in controversy with other nations, even in the same territories. Are we clear? All right, this is why when you come with an issue, you give information or you want discovery for the consul. This is where the Grand Chief or assistant Grand Chiefs take their place in the chiefs. That's why the moderator, and the chairman is in place to make law. They're empowered to make law, not emotion. You understand what I'm saying? So you must know what neutrality is set down. Now, what people been not telling you was you're not supposed to be suffering these things that you suffered as quote-unquote so-called branded Negroes. Because you're enforcing constitutional law now. You're part and parcel of this said government. Now, so infecting all ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens and subjects. All classifications, all diversity. You see the point? Maritime, that's the sea. Yeah. Are you clear? This is the reason why they always deal with admiralty law, bring it on the land. You understand what I'm saying? Because consular court is suspended. They have no jurisdiction whatsoever. In other words, they keep trying to steal the birthright. They keep trying to find a new way to steal the birthright. As soon as something closes them out, they try to steal the birthright another way. But no way they have it. See, but if you don't know that consular court deals with diversity, you see? Now, in 205, when me and Grant and Chief Nature filed that suit in here because they wouldn't file them in Jersey where the tort took place, the law officers for Wall Township and Asbury Park Police filed a motion, Federal Rule 12b-6, diversity of citizenship, to get off the suit. They filed a motion, Federal Rule 12b-6, diversity of citizenship, to try to get off the suit. Because that's Article 3, Section 2. And it was the very argument that we're making, they were making. Because we painted them in the corner because we hit them with the law. They couldn't let us win. That's why they published that was, dismissed with prejudice. Then next month, the feds came in, 17 heads rolled, and they didn't connect it. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's an avalanche. No, we painted them in the corner, we let them out. But what does that represent? Then we did it, we filed for not just ourselves, we wasn't even trying to get the vehicle back. We filed for the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Moorish Science Temple of America, all Moorish groups. Grand Sheiks was calling the feds and telling them that we was fake Moors.
That's your what?
Grand Sheiks was calling from around the country, telling the feds that we weren't real Moorish Americans, that we were rebels, and needed to be deported. I'm serious. Now, so when we went back to town, we went back to Wall Township, right? All the warrants and everything they had on nature, all the documents, all the paperwork disappeared. We met with the commissioner, we went with the head of detective there, and the deputy of mayor in Asbury Park. They cleaned the office and told us we was right, but they got to do their job. All the documents, everything they had on it disappeared. All the records disappeared. Well, but the point of it is that the Moors need to be active and not passive. It's not like they're going to, because you're not, like the prophet said, you didn't get in this overnight, you're not getting out of this overnight. And don't think that, some of you ain't going to suffer. Some of us going to prison. But you got to do it for these babies. You understand? Because they sold this movement out. If you understand what I'm saying. So when you're active, you're demonstrating to the world that the heirs are claiming the estate. You have to be competent. This is why all the nations of the earth are cashing in every treasury bond they can find. Because their dead paper is toxic. It's worthless. Because it ain't theirs. It's your estate. Parking lot on 12th and Arch Street? They tried to sell that to France. The stop sign of the Road Market, they tried to sell that to what? Belgium.
I-95
Yeah, they're selling stretches of highway. For real.
Wow.
But it's your estate. It's your estate. Y'all got this?
Yes.
So your protocol is whenever you have any court action, particularly if they have you in a defendant position. An averment of jurisdiction is standard protocol, not you may. Not you might think about it, not standard, are we clear?
Yes.
Because understand, 90% of them are ministerial officers of the executive branch of government under war powers under Roosevelt. Are we clear? Having no judicial authority whatsoever. But they can't steal your birthright if they don't operate like that. That's why you must challenge the jurisdiction. Bill probably says if you're part and parcel of this said government must live life accordingly. So therefore, those who love a free national government must what? Help them in the mission to enforce the Constitution of the United States of America. So they're going to try to make it look like you're the one out of order when actually they're organized criminals. You understand? With infiltrators in your movement, that's why you'll see the ones working for Hoover will always criticize and say that this ain't got nothing to do with no law. It's only religious.
Yeah.
But don't get angry. All you got to do is go see the microfilm, see what Noble Drawley filed. He registered the Moorish Holy Temple Science as a civic organization to teach government. And then later, religious affidavit was adopted around August 28 because of infiltration. Do you understand? And to accommodate people that was coming in droves from the church who didn't understand nationality, so they could still write off taxes that didn't apply to them. Do you understand? That's the purpose of serving. You understand? All right. And so, the exercises that we have when we're doing writs and affidavits, now this is very important because it's not something to be dismissed, it's something to understand. Do you understand? So I'm going to qualify what I'm saying. All right. Talk. Motions. We've been teaching people for about 20, 25 years to do affidavits. Affidavits, right? And we teach people to do affidavits. Now, you know, in an ideal position, in order for a court to move, move the court, you do what is called motions. Why is it that so often you see us not promoting motions? Not that we don't understand them. Don't get the idea that we don't understand them. Why do we not promote motions? All right, go ahead. Yes, an affidavit not rebutted stands as law. Cannot be dismissed, becomes a part of the case. A motion is what? Is a privilege. Is a privilege a right? No. Now you understand why we don't push motions? Zodi, I'll just make a point. That's why we don't push motions.
Yes.
Because it's a privilege. It's at the discretion of the judge, which means you can be right as right as right as right as right. And there's not the interest of the court or the prosecutor when they're trying to screw you and take your lunch money and run the city with it, they're going to dismiss your motion. Plus, a motion admits the jurisdiction of the court.
And it's also the law above too, because you have to get out of emotional bankruptcy.
Exactly.
Because
Now,
you get moved by our emotions. It's more spiritual law than anything.
exactly. And you know they use the Bible. Hebrew law, what they call Hebrew law. Our law.
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. Yes. Now, and so that's for those who don't misunderstand, because a lot of times when we don't do motions, a lot of people think that we're rejecting motions. We're not rejecting motions. We understand that in a colorful court, a motion puts you into the jurisdiction. So that's why you challenge the jurisdiction. Now, if they seize jurisdiction, you already know you're going to get the long run, you're going to get them anyway. However, the deal is, the reason we don't push motions is because you admit the jurisdiction, And if you know it's a ministerial court, why would you submit a motion to a ministerial court that has no jurisdiction in the first place? Particularly if you're in a defendant position, meaning they're attacking you. Now, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't use that necessarily if you were in a plaintiff position, but you would use that with discretion. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But understand that it's privilege. And it's at the discretion of the judge, and he can dismiss it. So you can be right as you can be, and he can dismiss it. But it's an affidavit. This would also make those writs and those affidavits so powerful, because they don't have the option of making discretion with it, because it's not discretion. That's why we also show you put exhibits on, because now it's part of the case. They chart alternates, you are appropriate persona, Brother Rick, appropriate persona, and they put on the pro se, they're tampering with evidence, aren't they? So let's look at the federal cases and just see what tampering with evidence involves. See, so let's stretch this. Let's understand why we use certain strategies. That's why we do it. So for those over the years who may not have understood why we always push affidavits and writs versus motions, it's not because motions aren't legitimate. They're legitimate in an ideal position. But you've got organized criminals running these courts. You got racketeers running these courts. It's not in your interest to be giving them motions discretion because it admits the jurisdiction. Because you're asking the judge for permission. You're here to exercise your birth rights. You ain't here talking about no privileges that you got to pay for in a jurisdiction that don't have jurisdiction. You understand what I'm saying? Because then you're admitting to the court powers because you know they're dealing with admiralty and bottom rate. Since you know it, why you enter a motion into a court you already know is going to rule against you? Because it's not in their interest to rule for you, because the reason they're here was when you look up the law and you look up the U.S., it says what? It is a for-profit corporation. It's for-profit. Why? Because it moves chattel. Well, who's chattel? So Noble 12, he said, why did the Europeans coin the names Negro, Black, and Colored? To steal your birthright. Right? That's why all the corporate entities are registered what? Under what? 14th Amendment. There we go. You see? Now I'm just putting these points up so that you can understand the divine warning, what role it actually plays in law. You have, in other words, it has to be in the canvas without you speaking, because you got to know where they're coming from when they're dealing with it. So if you already know what the chess pieces are, you ain't got to discuss them. But you're supposed to move them, because you're supposed to know the truth about your nationality and your birthright. And if you got a nationality and birthright, you already know that this doesn't apply to natural persons. It applies to corporate persons. In law, huh?
Is there two versions of it?
Say it again.
Two versions of the 14th Amendment.
No, two versions of the 13th. That's why the title of nobility, the nobility, yes. That's why they don't expose that, because they also expose Section 12 of the original Article of Amendment of 13. What 14 was put in place to cover original Article of Amendment 13. And you know, Article of Amendment 13, Section 12 says descendants of Africans cannot be citizens. So that would immediately expose all the black leader guys, preachers, who they assigned to make our people agree to the 14th Amendment as corporate persons, thinking it was natural rights when they're Christian property, not free beings. This is why when you look at their Sundry Free Moors Act and you look at the Moors between, that's why like when you see the Sundry Free Moors case of 1790 when George Washington was come to the palace, the whole issue was status. That's the whole nature of the whole trial. A clarification of their legal status. What? Moors versus so-called Negroes or free blacks. So they read the Negro Act as applied to Christian property as distinguished from natural persons, Moorish Americans. So those being Moors would be tried as any other citizen would be tried, i.e. under constitutional principle. So that's why it's important for those component parts to be, understood, understood by the people so they can understand this movement. Because a lot of people keep thinking it started with Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali reawakened the people on the mission because he went back to sleep. You understand what I'm saying? And so, the Grand Chief's job was to tell the people this so they wouldn't think that it was just mere opinion. So they could do what? Do those things and learn those things necessary to be better citizens. But they can't be U.S. citizens. They're citizens of the Moorish nation in alliance with the United States, but not subject to the corporate rules of law under the 14th Amendment. This is where they have no jurisdiction. Now, the reason why that case was before the House of Representatives is because no other lower court was qualified to hear it, because it's constitutional. You see the whole point? You understand? It's a court of general sessions, special. That's why when you go to these courts, you say, I'm appearing specially and not generally. See, and that's why they keep messing with papers, because you just mess up the court. Because they can't, because they have no jurisdiction. They have to list you what? Under admiralty in the seas, pirates, and then as a foreigner in your own land. So the only way they can make you a foreigner in your own land is to list you as a Negro, black, and colored. That's why income tax applies to such persons. Because they're foreign corporations. But when you know your nationality, you already know that you have no income. And even if you did have income, had stock, it's still, you're not subject to them, they're subject to you. It's just that the regencies have not been operative. And the temples are regencies. That's why they won't tell the people, Adams won't tell the people that those temples are also regencies. Why? Because then it was so sure to sell out again. You understand? So the deal with is things that weren't told have to be told in order to deal with people. Because you can't exercise a right if you don't know you got it. And when they recognize you don't know, they can take advantage of people. You know what I mean? That's why Crowley said, if you don't believe that the program that he has for his people and citizens is right, go to no law. Government officials. Government. He said, from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. What's the guider of the nation but a clump of government officials? Do you understand what he said in the way that no one's threatened? Because he knew the time would come that someone would come expose you to the people. But that's what the acts are for. The acts are supposed to be telling people that. They start playing the Moorish church. And competing with each other. Who got the power? Who's the real successful of the problem? You understand? Meanwhile, families are falling apart. We suffer all kind of stuff. And half the people ain't never looked at the Constitution. Yet it's in the divine will. When you start talking Constitution, some of you think, how can they say that? And people believe it because they don't know. But those who rule know. That's why those rich get them messed up. Because they're bound. They're lost. They're bound. Meanwhile, they're sitting out there in Virginia with their feathers on, with your heel and bay on. They don't know what the more stuff is. Ask the Grand Chiefs, they'll tell you. Yeah, they're renegade Moors. They don't know nothing about this. Lying to the world. All right, so everyone know what jurisdiction is. Averment of jurisdiction. Any questions about it? Any affirmations? Any additions? Right? Do something. They're aggregates. Because they don't have it. See, and yes. Huh? Say the what?
Just said sold over.
Oh, yeah.
something you
And-
said earlier about the rubber stamp aspect.
Yes.
What to do with rubber stamp?
See, but exactly, and that exposes the fraud too. This is another reason why, how you say that, since then, because they've been acting and operating fraudulently, and this information exposes them. And see, and then once you present this information and you have it as an exhibit, it's a part of the case. That's why they always try to get people to do motions, because they know that then they can dismiss it. You see the point? But you out-thought them, didn't you? Meaning that you knew better, right? Because you know the truth about nationality and birthright, so you ain't going for it. And see, and this is also why they would send people out and try to encourage our people, say, well, we need you to submit a motion to do this, that, because that's what they want, because when you submit a motion, you admit to your statement. Because it's a privilege. All right? And this is why, like for instance, and this is redundant, but keep this in context. United States Code of Law, the general permanent character. General character, so when you're dealing with them, you're dealing in a general character of law, right? And so you're dealing, this is a general and permanent character, So it's in general, it covers all law, and it's permanent, all right? So the United States Code of Law of a general permanent character enforced January 3rd, 34th edition. Now this is why CMA, when he registered the added information, i.e. the class of destiny, etc., he registered it under foreign relations and intercourse. And the number correlates. You understand he doesn't give authority, it's really the lead of the authority. That must be understood. Alright? So the certificate number, and it has 3 certificates that's registered in the Copyright Office in the Library of Congress. Alright? And the one with AA222141 is really Moorish identification, nationality card of identification. Right? But it correlates with what? Foreign relations and intercourse. And it's on page 954. Alright? So the first two, the 222, is actually not United States Law, Title 22, Chapter 2, and then Section 141. But I also put 42 and 43. But this is to show people the correlation, because a lot of people that work for Hoover always try to separate the CMA and Hoover Raleigh and try to make them enemies. When actually CMA exposed the adept information to counter the insurgents that came into the Moorish movement to undermine Hoover Raleigh. So because unless somebody's an adept, they be thinking it's different. When it's not different, it's developed. It means that you were to ascend. It means it's giving you the degrees that's maintained amongst the adepts. That's why a lot of adepts will condemn CMA, because they don't want the Moors to pay attention, because then they become powerful. Because they know they're not spooked. If you understand, those who under the sellouts, they just do reverse church stuff and sing gospel. Just for the God's name. Well, it's the truth. But when it comes to preserving the birthright, they have no knowledge whatsoever. They won't even read the Constitution. Even though it's in the divine order. That's the mission. He tells you exactly what the mission is. Right in the divine order of the believing nation. He tells you exactly what the mission is. Anyway, so Title 22, Foreign Relations and Intercourse, page 954, Chapter 2, Consular Reports. Consular, that's why when you have an issue, they say, you have consular. They'll say you want counsel, meaning barristers. And they're supposed to say counsel. Counsel for you, counsel for your opinions. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you don't know what the grand chiefs and the assistant grand chiefs supposed to do, you never question it. You see what I'm saying? All right. Section 141, that's judicial. That would be Article 3 with it. That would not be administrative with it. Article 3. judicial authority generally to carry into effect the provisions of the treaties of the United States. So now when you look at, say, give you an example, I'm going to read Article 6 of the Constitution, then I'm going to go back to this. Remember Act 6 of the Divine Constitutional Bylaws in the Moorish Holy Temple Science and Moorish Science of America. Compare it when I'm reading this. All right? Article 6 of the Constitution for the United States of North America. All debts and all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States, not for, against the United States, under this Constitution as under the Confederation, which means more than one Constitution we're running here right now, through the Articles of Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. You're Moorish American, you got a treaty, right? Now you understand you staple that treaty right in that Constitution. This is the supreme law of the land. See how simple that is? Is that complex? Not complex at all. See why it's necessary for the brand to be black so you can't enforce the law. You see the point? But when you know, you understand, you know how the Constitution applies to you. You understand what I'm saying? Yet you're not a citizen of the U.S. You're a citizen of the original United States that sanctioned the United States. You understand? That's why you have the Great Seal that no one speaks under. Then you have the bird, which sanctioned the states under the United States. So we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, you establish what? Tranquility, our posterity, etc. This Constitution for the United States of America. They wrote it to the Union. So that's part and parcel. You see? Now you see why the dual seals? You see? But the pyramid no one speaks of it. Why? Because that's added. You understand? Now they're supposed to tell you. So many people think they're not part of this government. It's the white people. Well, you white people. Right? This is matters. You understand? Anyway. So this Constitution and laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance of thereof, and all treaties made which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land and the judges of every state. What does every mean? Every state shall be bound thereby. And anything in the Constitution or the laws of any state, to the contrary, notwithstanding. That means anything else they told you, bogus. Now the senators, the representatives, before mentioned, and the members of the state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and the several states, and we show you, you understand what I'm saying? The Union and the separate states shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious text shall ever be required as a qualification of any office of public trust under the United States. So, do you wear your religion on your sleeve like a chip? No, it's irrelevant. Take that and stick it in your back pocket and sit on it, because it don't count. It's like them airplanes on your underwear. Don't wear your pants down underneath, nobody will see your air. Train tracks. You understand what I'm saying? So is this a religious movement or this is a civic movement? It's national and divine. So we want you to know the truth and the divine truth. You understand? So now you can see what they're bound by, right? So now let's do a classification. Well, CMA register and see if it's in at variance. See it's right in front. So judicial authority generally carry the full effect of provisions of the treaties of the United States with certain foreign countries, the ministers and consuls of the United States in China, Siam, And while I'm reading this, think chapter 47. Think chapter 47 while I'm reading this. The ministers and consuls of the United States in China, Siam, Turkey, Morocco, Muscat, Abyssinia, Persia, and the territories formerly a part of the former Ottoman Empire, including Egypt. Egypt, capital dominion of the Mexico, of Africa, see? Duly appointed to reside therein shall, in addition to all powers, to other powers and duties imposed upon them, respectively, by the provisions of such treaties, respectively, be invested with the judicial authority described in this chapter, which shall appertain to the office of minister and consul, and be a part of the duties belonging thereto, wherein, and so far as the same is allowed by treaty, and in accordance with the usages of the countries in their intercourse with the Franks or other foreign Christian nations. So Christian is a political system, isn't it?
Yes.
Then it gives you your law cases. This is United States law. That you're part and parcel of. You're supposed to be enforcing that treaty. And enforcing the treaty, you enforce the Constitution. See how simple that is? That's why I use AA 222141 to write all taxes. You understand what I'm saying? You don't need no UN number. The right already resides with you. And them suspending first report don't suspend anything else because all what? Engagements entered into before this Constitution. They can play this fake stuff all they want to because the Moroccan Treaty is the law of the land. So they want to play war powers, well, guess what? They can do whatever they want to do. We ain't got to do no commercial codes to try to get out of the contract. That ain't daggone contract. You ain't got to dissolve nothing because you ain't never been a citizen of their private farm corporation. You can't be. This is why Bedford of the Ku Klux Klan talked about the unnatural relationship between the government and Negroes. Was he wrong? No. It's an unnatural relationship. You understand what I'm saying? So when you know the law, certain things you're not offended about because you understand. And everybody that speaks against you in certain areas is not necessarily your enemy. They're just telling you what's the truth. Stop trying to be somebody you're not. Because you're not Christians, that's a political system, that's theirs. For their earthly salvation. It's not a system, apologize.
Who can grant letters of marque and price? Sovereign grant letters of marque and price?
Yes. What is market requirement? Yeah, you got it. Good. I just want to make sure you know it. Yes. And what have they been doing? They've been using your sovereign power. You've been letting them get away with calling themselves Americans. You see why No Drolly says, stop trying to be somebody else. Be yourself. He says, what? They're living off your virtues. He said, the Negro problem is your problem. Some of the Europeans are helping me. Why aren't you? It's your problem. He said, I'm going to make the Europeans tell you the truth. Now everybody wants to be Republican back then, they're the Negro. You understand what I'm saying? But the deal of it is we have to get in step because the world is changing fast and it's not going to wait on us. You know, this is so that you don't be on the streets. Because they're going to try to starve the people to make them capitulate. You're going to get help from outside eventually. But meanwhile, a lot of people will die. There'll be a lot of bloodshed. And if you're middle class Europeans, because they're being dissolved, they're going to start shooting their communist people. For real. Because they're not taking it. We'll march and pray and that's what we used to. Because we enforce the law. But Joe, crazy guy, they get crazy when they eat ceremony. You know, we can do romaine noodles and get that. You know, that tell us to eat. You know, my brother's house, and I'm my brothers to be holding this, his wife be holding this up, right? We, me and my brother be working and stuff. I'll say, I'm going to order something. Come out the yard. Y'all come on and eat. That's all some needs. Did y'all eat? Y'all didn't eat, come and eat, right? So, you see, people does real good, right? But it don't make no difference to us. Me and him, we'll put a bowl of grits in there and we'll eat it cool. I was going to make sure we got salad and all this other stuff, you know. The Europeans right now, they can use a little lobster and stuff, you know. Derek sauce and stuff, filet mignon, other body filet mignon. You know, when they can't do that, they start hitting all sorts of roads falling. They start jumping out the window. Especially when made off with all the financial. You know, and they're used to that. Even though it really ain't theirs, they've been making all this off our state, but they can't handle it. You understand? We're used to suffering. You know, we can eat good food one day and this we ain't no old cornflakes. Alright? You know, and we can handle it. They can't handle it. They start shooting people's parakeets and stuff, pulling their bells out and stuff. They do, and mean it. And if they don't get your attention, they'll do extreme stuff. You know what I mean? They have people's dogs hanging from the wires and stuff. They'll do some strange stuff. And cook them too. You know, so they know that. So, and this is, you know, you heard about what's the Bobby, what's his name? That senator in Georgia wants to get rid of driver's license. You know, we've been reading our regs. Anyway, they're trying to get ahead of the curve, but you can't legislate it right. The right already belongs to people. But they just trying to get ahead of the curve because they already know Joe Blow's coming at them. Take them Europeans, what them Europeans down, was it Arkansas? Or shot them cops up? Come from their community, they talk about they sovereign. Well, they ain't real sovereign. They ain't playing. They're not playing.
Puerto Ricans for not getting the new birth certificate.
Yeah.
Under the Shepherd Townsend. They take American disappear.
What happened?
Well, the Real ID Act, what they were saying that the birth certificate in Puerto Rico was stolen. So everybody had until 3:30 to go to motor vehicle to sign up to get a birth certificate.
And they talk about too many out there, so we'll do the real ones. You know, what's real, because see, this is what it is. Driver's license is really under the Immigration Act for foreign corporate persons under the 14th Amendment. You understand? So they telling people that's what it's really about. So they can regulate them under the Department of Transportation for the shadow. Yes, human trafficking. This is why Arizona is having problems enforcing federal law with immigration. Why? Not only because the state's jurisdiction, what you call cross jurisdiction, because they got to dismantle the 14th Amendment, because what they discovered is that the Mexicans, while silent, were these little cheap jobs outthought them because now they got around the green card. Because the sisters was coming here 9 months to term, and the Europeans was calling them anchor babies. They citizens, corporate, you understand? So now they mad because they got around it. This is why McCain and them was talking about dismantling the 14th Amendment, then they shut up. Why? Because that's where they got all their Negro property under. It's like a Pandora's box. It's a catch-22. So the Mexicans are using the 14th Amendment. They don't care about the poor person. They want to get in, and then what's happening in the West, they're starting to what? Build communities, and then voting Europeans out of local office. In other words, what are they doing? They didn't forget the European-American War that the Europeans list as the Mexican-American War. It's not the Mexican-American War, it's the European-American War.
They started running down, getting birth certificates to say they can't be
Because they're still all Americans. See, that's the whole point. The whole trick was for the Romans to start saying American is a country. They know all of the people, Negroites, who think they're Christians, think that America's a country. The rest of the world knows America's a continent.
Yeah.
And know that these are Europeans. The only ones that's stupid is these people that think that human beings are crayons. Yeah, but I'm just saying, but you've got to recognize how other nationals are simply using the law that they use to trap us, use it against them. That's why they're mad at them. Because to really enforce the Immigration Act on the Mexicans and others, they have to dismantle the 14th Amendment. Because if they're born in quote unquote America, see, they gotta lie to us and then not lie to them. See, because they're nationals, they can't do to them what they do to their Negro Christian property. Because they're real nationals. Because it's an international issue. You know, just like when President Fox, Vicente Fox, when Clinton was in office, they introduced him to the United Nations and talked about the American president, and he said, oh, Jack, you all get that together. He's an American president of the United States of America. I'm American president too. There's a lot of other American presidents here. Don't get it twisted. You understand what I'm saying? You know, but that kind of language is for people who think human beings are crayons. That stuff don't work in the real world. And see, so they're using the 14th Amendment against them. They don't need no green card. So they all doing, as American citizens. They the only foreigner.
Yeah.
The only foreigner. Yeah. But anyway, and so 141 is, that's Title 22, Chapter 2, Section 142. The general jurisdiction in criminal cases, because you already know law is only criminal court right and civil court right. And this is why they keep mixing them too. If you understand, but when you know better, you see the deal? The officers mentioned in Section 141 of this title are fully empowered to arraign and try in the manner provided for in this chapter all citizens of the United States charged with offenses against the law committed in such countries, respectively, and to sentence such offenders in the manner in this chapter authorized, and each of them is authorized to issue such processes as are suitable, probably and necessary to carry this authority into execution. So this is where the limit of authority is in criminal cases. Civil cases. Title 22, Chapter 2, Section 143. Such officers are also invested with all the judicial authority necessary to execute the provisions of such treaties, respectively, in regard to civil rights, whether of property or person. Whether of property or person. And they shall entertain jurisdiction in matters of contract at the court where and near to which it was to be executed, in all other matters at the court where and near to which the damage complained of was sustained. Therefore, they must issue discovery, mustn't they? But they must prove it. You see? Provided such court be one of the courts at which the United States are represented by consuls, such jurisdiction shall embrace all controversies between citizens of the United States or others provided for by such treaties, respectively. Then it gives you law case. Therefore, what jurisdiction? Consular court. What's the role that the Grand Chief's supposed to play? Consuls. You're supposed to get European Bar Association counsel. It's a violation of law. They can't represent you because they're foreigners. You're the national of the land. Now you understand why you must understand divine and national movement. I'm just putting it in context for you, so you can understand it from a law perspective. And so you're required to fess up like any other nation. All other nations are required to this. Why not you? You understand what I'm saying? So we shouldn't be suffering like we're suffering. Because probably brought the remedy. You're supposed to believe in it, you're supposed to know it. It's not something for you to believe in. Or something for you to know, for you to enforce. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's required of you as it is required of any other national on the planet. So in order to be recognized by the nation in which you live in the nations of the earth, enforce the Constitution, because that's the Moorish mission.